Right now, your face can do something you have no say over. Someone says your name across a crowded room, or mentions the person you like. A second or two later, the blood has gone to your cheeks and you're red, and there was no moment where you agreed to any of it. You can't undo it either. However calm you're playing it, the whole room can already tell, and it gets the confident people just as easily as the shy ones. You've always read that as a malfunction, some humiliating little betrayal by your own body. But there's an experiment where a room full of people forgave someone who had just cheated them, and the one thing that earned him that forgiveness was a blush. The reaction you've spent years trying to suppress might be the most useful thing your face does. Strangely enough, no other animal does it. Chimps don't. Dogs don't. Whatever you've watched a dog do when it gets caught on the couch, it isn't going red in the face. Blushing is ours alone. Darwin observed this and gave it a whole chapter in 1872, and then more or less threw up his hands. He called it the most peculiar and most human of all expressions, and admitted he couldn't say why we do it. Which is a fair thing to get stuck on. Why would evolution hand us a reaction that lights up when you're embarrassed for everyone to see, when every other instinct you've got is built to cover weakness up? Today you'll learn what blushing is actually for, why you genuinely can't fake it however hard you try, and why some people hate it enough to have a surgeon cut a nerve out of their chest to be rid of it. Start with what's physically happening, because it's odd before you even reach the why. A blush isn't something you do. It's something done to you by the sympathetic nervous system, the same automatic fight or flight wiring that throws your heart rate up when you get a fright. Back in 1987, two researchers, Drummond and Lance, traced the wiring and confirmed it. The thing reddening your face comes from the part of your nervous system you have no login to. It dumps blood into the vessels in your cheeks, and it's quick. The whole flush can land in a few seconds and then hang around for minutes, completely indifferent to how badly you'd like it gone. That detail is the key to the whole thing, so hold on to it. A smile you can fake, a laugh you can force out. You can set your face into just about any expression and keep it there for the camera. What you cannot do is choose to blush. Go ahead and try it right now. Sit there and will your cheeks red? Nothing. And once a genuine one turns up, there's no dial to turn it down. You wear it while everyone watches. That is exactly what bothered Darwin. Evolution is usually merciless about hiding weakness. A scared animal goes still so nothing notices it. A hurt one tucks itself away so nothing comes to finish the job. Looking visibly rattled is a good way to get eaten or frozen out of the group. Blushing does the precise opposite. It sends a flare-up over your own face and tells the room you're embarrassed, you're caught, you think you've done something wrong. Stranger still, the people who study this can measure nearly everything about it, the blood flow, the climbing temperature of your cheeks, and they still can't tell you why your face is the target. Why the blood floods the most visible patch of skin you own, instead of somewhere it might pass unnoticed. The one spot you would never have volunteered. For 100-odd years, nobody had an answer, so blushing got written off as a glitch. A flaw in the design you were meant to grow out of and feel bad about if you didn't. There's a genuinely unfair piece to it, too. Dreading the blush is one of the surest ways to set it off. The more the redness scares you, the more dependably it arrives. The mechanism punishes you specifically for minding. For a long stretch, that was the whole reputation of blushing. A pointless, mortifying reflex that picks the worst possible second to expose you and digs in harder the more you fight it. Then a few researchers changed the question. Instead of asking what it feels like to blush, they asked what a blush does to the people on the other side of it. That is where it flips. In 2011, a group of Dutch psychologists, led by Corien Dake, ran a version of a trust game with close to 200 people. You know the shape of it. You and an opponent can either cooperate or quietly sell each other out for a better personal payoff. At a fixed point, the opponent sold them out, took the selfish option and walked away with more, leaving the player short. Straight after, everyone was shown a photo of that opponent's face. Half saw the cheater mid-blush. The other half saw the same cheater and the same betrayal, but a calm, unflushed face. Then came the part that mattered, deciding how much real money to put in this person's hands. The players who had seen the blush gave more. They rated the blushing cheater as more trustworthy, went easier on them, and reckoned they were less likely to pull it again. Same crime, same setup. The only thing that moved was a red face, and the red face was enough to buy the betrayal back. It wasn't a one-off. The same researchers had already shown a gentler version, put an obvious, clumsy mistake in front of people, and the one who went red came across as more likable and more trustworthy than the one who stayed composed. Let that land for a second. The reaction you'd give anything to switch off is the same reaction that talks strangers into trusting someone who just robbed them in a game. This is the part that usually gets left out. The reason it works traces straight back to the fact that you can't manufacture it. Faking remorse is the easiest thing in the world. You say the words, you arrange the sorry face, you run the entire performance while feeling precisely nothing. Everybody knows that, which is why an apology on its own is cheap. Words can lie. The blush can't, because it's bolted to that involuntary system you don't operate. Going red is honest in the most mechanical sense there is. You can't summon it to order and you can't stamp it out. So when someone reddens after slipping up, their own body is standing as their witness, testifying that they know they blew it and that they care, and aren't just acting, because acting isn't on the menu. It's an apology built into the hardware, and it can't be forged. One honest caveat: it only really lands when the mistake is obvious. In a murky situation, a blush can read as guilt and turn against you. But after a clean, clear blunder, your red face is the best character reference you will ever get. The last turn is the eerie one. The natural assumption is that you blush because you're busy picturing what everyone thinks of you, running the social arithmetic in real time. In 2024, a team in Amsterdam went at that assumption directly. They sat young people in an MRI scanner and put them through something a little cruel, watching footage of themselves singing karaoke, alone, inside the machine, while it tracked the temperature of their cheeks. People ran hotter watching themselves than watching anyone else, which is no shock. The surprise was in the brain data. The region you'd bet on, the higher machinery for modeling other people's opinions of you, wasn't the one driving the blush. What lit up instead was raw emotional arousal and a sharp spike of attention on yourself, taking in areas like the cerebellum, which hints that the blush may go off before you've even finished working out that you're being judged. It isn't the tail end of a careful social calculation. It's quicker and older than that. The body rules that you're exposed and hits the alarm before the thinking part of you has caught up. Bring all of that back to your own life for a second. Every time you've gone red, pulled into a meeting, sat across from a date, called on by a teacher, caught off guard when someone mentioned your crush, nothing was malfunctioning. Your body was running a very old piece of social software, announcing to the room the one thing your words could never quite prove on their own: that you mean it, that you care, that you're worth another chance. You've been apologizing with your face your whole life without anyone telling you that's what it was. It's also the quiet answer to the thing everyone wonders about and nobody asks: why you go red around someone you're into. Same signal. Standing in front of a person whose opinion has suddenly become enormous to you, your body does the one thing it can't keep to itself. It tells them. It shows them, without your permission, that you care how you come across, which might be the most disarmingly honest thing a face can do. You would never manage to say it out loud without risking everything. Your face just goes ahead and says it for you. Then there's the modern turn in the story, which is where it gets bleak. The signal is so effective and feels so much like being stripped bare that some people genuinely cannot live alongside it. There's a clinical name for the fear of it: erythrophobia. For the people who have it badly, blushing isn't an endearing quirk. It steers their whole lives. They pass on jobs, dodge dates, get out of presentations, drift away from friends, all to avoid being caught in the act of going red. Some of them go further than that. There's an operation, endoscopic thoracic sympathectomy, where a surgeon goes into your chest through a couple of small cuts near the armpit, lets one lung partly down, finds the sympathetic nerve running alongside your spine, and cuts or clamps it. They cut the wire, and it does the job. Somewhere around 90 to 95% of patients stop blushing for good. But the body keeps its books. The usual price is something called compensatory sweating. Shut the signal off at the face, and the body simply reopens it lower down. People who go through this to keep their cheeks from reddening very often start sweating buckets from their back and chest instead, and not for a week. For good. Look at the trade for a moment. They had a nerve cut out so their face couldn't turn red, and what they got back was a permanently soaked shirt. That is how far people will go to mute the most human expression there is. Evolution handed you a signal you can't fake and can't switch off. Honesty wired so far down that your own body gives up the truth about how you feel whether or not you want it told. No other animal on the planet has it. It's the one move you make that proves, on the spot and without a word, that you actually care what passes between you and another person. And we spend our lives wishing it would stop. A few of us pay surgeons to make sure it does. We've taken the one part of us that flat out refuses to lie and decided it's the part that needs fixing. You were given the only honest face in the animal kingdom. It was never a flaw. It was the whole point.